Roland Warren, who is also in this DVD. But I want to give you an idea of why we're here this morning, so that when you go in and see the DVD, then you'll be able to get the maximum amount out of it. But first, I want to thank Pastor Dan Padilla, who's here, for hosting this. Yes. And also for CSA. CSA is sponsoring this, and we have several CSA members that are here right now. And CSA members, if you stand up real quick, please. CSA members are here. Okay. And we have some CSA members that across the hall also eating. Pastor Bruno Wade was too busy eating over there to stand up.
Oh, I did stand up.
And so, but the reason why we're here is to make the church aware of the fact that abortion is not just in the unbelieving community, it is also in the church. And that's significant, because why we're here today is to help the church, make the church aware of the fact that we've got to do church a little bit differently, because it seems that the interviews that we've been getting from women who've been having abortions, that many, they consider church has been the last place they want to go when they have an unplanned pregnancy, or when a young lady is unwed and she's pregnant. That should not be. Just think about what it would be like if the church was the first place that a woman went, an unwed mother went, instead of the last place. Just now, as a result of that, stats tell us that 40% of the women that have abortions were regularly attending church at the time. And says that 65%, and that includes Catholics and evangelicals, 65% of abortions come from Catholic and evangelical churches. It says that if we eradicate abortion out of our churches, we can at least cut it in half. We've got to take a more gracious and non-judgmental stand. And so, but also to make you aware of the materials that are available for educating our churches and for bringing them on board, and also to encourage people to pass the word on, and to be motivated, pastors and leaders, to motivate their churches to make their church a refuge for unwed mothers and for women who have unplanned pregnancies. We're supposed to be in a hospital, but sometimes, I think we sort of get them on the way. And so this was sort of eye-opening, sort of an eye-opening experience. So I'm not going to say more. I'm going to move on to that because we do want to let everybody get a chance to finish eating and move into the sanctuary as quickly as we can. But we're going to be leaving here, and we have somebody's going to give them a testimony when Sister Ethel gets through. Sister Ethel Mayhart, CareNet has been a big part of what we do so far as pro-life is concerned. Also, Sister Lori Duffy is here someplace, and both these people, both Sister Lori and Sister Ethel, are also members of CSA. And so, but as you know, CSA has been a very big help to us in our efforts to stem the tide of abortion. And so, before I sit down, there'll be a DVD presentation, and then there'll be, a time for a question and answer. But the key thing on this is that once we leave here, we'll be going straight to the sanctuary for the DVD presentation. There'll be some handouts, which I'll say something about a little bit later. I'm sorry, some handouts. Okay, we already have those. You should have some handouts. Once we get to the sanctuary, there'll be people that will be giving handouts. There'll be a flash drive, so make sure that you get one. When you get over there, make sure that when you're going to sit down, that you have the handouts when you're going to sit down, and also that you've signed up. Okay, with that being said, I think I've said enough. And then immediately following the DVD presentation, then there'll be some material that Sister Ethel is going to be talking about that will be available in the vestibule area as we come back here for desserts. And then we will have a drawing. We'll have a drawing, and the curriculums that we'll be drawing for is worth about $135, something like that. And so I think that I've said enough to Richard Wilson, let you know what we're doing. Sister Ethel.
Thank you, Pastor Washington. Can y'all hear me? I'm a little louder than he is. First of all, I want to thank Pastor Ben his lovely wife for hosting this event here. Thank you so much. We so appreciate it. And the beautiful ladies that helped start. Can we give them a hand? That Thank you all for taking the time out of your very busy schedules, because I know that that is like the most precious resource that you have. And I'm so honored that that you chose to be here today. Could have been anywhere. Could have been in any hospital, but you chose to be here, right? So my prayer is that you will leave here transformed with what you hear and see. I don't think that you can not be when you're done here. A little bit of history. 2 years ago, I've been working with CareNet 3.5 years. 2 years ago, I attended a CareNet conference, and like most conferences go, there was a lot of information, a lot to be learned. But what stuck in my head was this one statistic that I just couldn't get out of my head, and that was our president and CEO, Roland Warren, said that of the 1 million+ abortions that take place every single year in our country, 650,000 of those came from the church. Wow. Oh. He said that if just the church would stop having abortions, we might be able to win this battle. I was just so struck by that. When I came back, my boss, Mary LeCue, our executive director from CareNet, that's what I learned the most, and that I just couldn't get that out of my head. So I told her the statistic. And then, I do what I usually do, I ran to my brother, Pastor Richard Mansfield. He's my pastor. He's like my brother, and I said, brother, look at this statistic. It is like awful. We have to do something. And it was right at the beginning. They had announced that they were going to be making life disciples. But I thought they were doing it right then. So I said, I need some money. So guess what he did? Wrote me a check. He handed me a check immediately to fund making life disciples here in Albuquerque. So yeah, give him a hand. So, during this time, 3.5 years, I've been working with CSA, and I'll tell you what, I'm so grateful for this group of pastors and ministry leaders. They're a bunch of warriors, I'll tell you. And every project that we have presented to them, they have jumped in with both feet. And I'm so thankful for you, pastors. Pastor Washington, I just went and took the program Making Life Disciples and Embrace Grace. And immediately he implemented it in his church. Immediately, without question. What you're going to see today has that impact that you would see, that it's going to change lives. And I'm so honored to work with this team of pastors and ministry leaders, and what they've done for this effort. They also participated in Voiceless, which was the movie that came to town. I don't know if many of you got to see it. If you didn't, it's on DVD now. It is the precursor to this right here. Wow. It's about the church's involvement in the abortion issue. And again, I took it to CSA, and they jumped in. Them, our church, the Cangelosi, so many said, oh yes, we'll buy tickets. Okay, so what you're going to see, I'm not going to belabor Making Life Disciples. You're going to see a leader's clip. And that right there is going to explain what this curriculum is about. You're also going to get one of these. This is a little card that'll tell you how to get the program if you would like it. We're going to have a drawing for 3 of them. So if you really want this curriculum, there is a drawing, but only if you really want the curriculum, all right? So the other thing is that we're giving you a flash drive. It's in a little gray box, and in that you're going to see 3 different videos, if you will. One of them you're going to hear this morning, but one of them you're going to see on Embrace Grace. Embrace Grace is a ministry that the church will participate in to help women, and that's another one that Pastor Washington jumped in, again, with both feet. When they find themselves in an unplanned pregnancy, they come alongside them and they show them God's love and grace instead of condemnation. It was founded by a lady named Amy Ford, who found herself in an unplanned pregnancy situation. And what she found is that the church was less than accommodating. In fact, they were very judgmental, and they pushed her out. And thankfully, she kept her child in spite of all of that. But she said there had to be a better way. And she was a Christian, and so she founded this ministry of Embrace Grace. And you're going to have, again, on your little flash drive, a video about Embrace Grace and basically how it transforms the lives of so many. So again, thank you all for coming. I appreciate so much. I cannot even tell you. I am ecstatic for the turnout that's here. You guys, just give yourselves a hand. That's awesome. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this over. We have a brother who has going to give a quick testimony of his life. His experience with abortion is he was the victim. Is that correct, brother? Can you? Okay. He was to be aborted. So anyway, I'm going to hand it over. Tell me his name again.
James Wilkins.
James Wilkins, and he's got a book out there called Survivor. All right, Survivor of Abortion. So you have the floor.
I'm very happy to be alive and to be here.
Amen.
My mother was under tremendous distress. She had had her little sister raped, and her brother had killed 3 people. My dad was in an accident that crushed him, 28 bones, wasn't expected to live. And there's a wicked woman that lived down 2 houses, and I already had 5 brothers and sisters, and she's expecting with me, and this wicked lady said no one's going to hire a pregnant woman, drink this, it'll be just like a miscarriage. And in a weak moment, my mother came home from, they actually pronounced my dad dead for a minute, and then they said, no, there's still a faint pulse. So she drank it, and my grandmother pulled her down, was a great young lady, and says, after they prayed, said, no, he will not die. He will be your chosen son, sent from God. And that brought hope and immediate relief to my mother. God confirmed in her heart that that's who I would be, and that my dad would live. And so that's how she got in the state. Now, for my mother's benefit, she raised 9 children. 5 of us became preachers. Thousands of people have been saved. We preached 240 years without any scandal, and some were missionaries. Altogether, there were probably 20 churches started during their ministry just from scratch.
Praise God.
That some of them are still vibrant churches. But the thing is, I have a printout that I'll give you, and that is simply this, that one little baby escaped abortion.
Amen.
Survivor. And through that, if one picture is worth 10,000 words, what's one life worth? Through nothing great on my part, just realizing that God gave me a divine mission. I didn't know my mother attempted to abort me until after she had died. She died, her last words, she rented her little house out, took her Social Security check, moved into a retirement home because she had gotten to be a soul winner. And her last words before she died is, I sure wanted to win that new man in room 14 before I died. Those were last words. Now, I've been privileged to preach 5 or 6 times a week. I was ordained when I was 20 years old. That's all I've ever done is preach. And so the reason I say this is because I'm a living testimony of how awful abortion is, how far-reaching it is. Not just one baby. It's a multitude of people. And I'll just say 2 other things, and then I'll close. Now, in the book Survivor, we dedicate it to the women who aborted their babies. We told them God still loves you. And we show from the Bible the awfulness of what abortion does. But we also show that those little babies that were aborted, they still have that desire for mom and dad's approval. And they're not terminated. They've just been removed to heaven. And in heaven, I believe there's a mass of babies praying for their mothers to be converted. And this book, the reason I came today is that book saves lives. I was in Illinois. A man walked up to me. He couldn't hardly talk. He says, our daughter was expecting. She's on her way to abort the baby. She found this book. She read it and came in and confessed. And now that little blonde-headed 5-year-old is the joy of our life. We couldn't imagine being without him.
Yes.
There's a woman in the state of Washington that came up to me, and she said, I just got to talk to you. The only way I can tell you about it is you're sick. You go to the doctor, he prescribes a cure, and nothing happens. You're worse. You go to another doctor. You go to another doctor. And finally, she's just weeping now. And she said, I found this book, and I'm cured. A woman that some way or another cheated on her husband and was going to kill her baby, found the book. She said, if I would have aborted my baby, my guilt, I would have never got over it. I was recently in Salt Lake City. I had 3 or 4 of those survivor books. I left with a pastor. He took it to church, to the hospital to one of his members. And the member read it. And the next bed, there's an argument the next day of a young woman, young man arguing over whether they're going to abort the baby. He said, I got some baby pictures I'd like for you to look at. They came, saw the graphic, not real bad graphic, because I didn't want to turn people off. They showed the conception, the development, and then the abortion. And she said, I'm not going to kill my baby. Amen. And he put his arm around her after looking at those baby pictures. So this book, what I'd like, I think that at least half of the women are people in charge of libraries across America would be pro-life. I'd like to try to get a movement that get these books and send them to different libraries, because young people read it, they see exactly the truth of it, and if we could save a baby, maybe it'd be a statesman. The way God works, and I'm through, is in our hearts we got a problem. We're not happy. Family's not working right. There's a cry out to God. And God says, I know how to fix your problem. You want new hope. You want genuine love. You want new life. I'll send you a baby. And they abort the baby and compound the problem. Nation has paralyzed problems. People cry out, God, deliver. And God says, all right. I'll send someone to solve your problem, but on the way he's aborted. Listen to me. We can turn it around. I believe, really have the best chance. And I think if all of us had the book and looked at it and used it, we could save lives. And that's the reason that I'm alive, to try to pass on the message that you're saved by grace, you're an eternal being, and that God wants you alive to glorify Him.
Amen.
Amen. We do have a little printout in the books. We do sell wholesale. We have given away a lot.